Mm. My guest today, harpist Carol Robbins, who we just heard beautiful cut off of, what the name of the record was?
Jazz Play.
Jazz Play. And that song is Carol's song called Amelia. And that is with our favorite, let's say some of our favorite musicians in town, because there's so many great musicians, but Larry Coons, who I don't think was playing on that cut.
No, he's not on that track. No.
And it's kind of hard to tell because sometimes the harp really sounds like guitar. And Derek Oles on bass, Tim Pleasant on drums, beautiful choice, Bob Shepard on saxes, and Steve Hofstetter on flugel.
Yeah, he's not on that track either.
Right.
He plays beautifully, but a lyrical.
Yeah.
Steve is.
God, that's just sounded so beautiful.
Thank you.
You're welcome. So this, ladies and gentlemen, Carol Robbins, she's like, if you want some harp on your stuff, you call Carol. You call Carol Robbins, especially if you want some jazz harp, you call Carol Robbins. She's,
thank you.
Right? Yes. Boy, your place looks pretty neat,
Does it?
Yeah.
I have too many pictures everywhere, but yeah, there's a lot of clutter, but I'm glad it looks neat. Pretty view out back, so that's nice.
Oh, cool. What part of town do you live in?
We live in Benedict Canyon.
Oh, yeah, that is so pretty there. Gosh, I haven't been there for a long time.
Yeah.
I had a friend who lived there. Well, I had a friend way, way back, a flute player, Nika Rato.
I remember her.
Yeah.
Where is she now?
She lives in Northern California.
Oh,
yeah. I haven't talked to her for a long time, but she had an apartment in Benedict Canyon.
Did she? Oh.
And then there was somebody else who had a really beautiful home there, but can't quite remember who.
Well, Carmen McRae actually lived down the street, and I think until her death, she lived on pretty much the same street up here.
So. Oh, cool. And Ruth Price, does she live up there?
She does. She lives somewhere around here. I haven't been to her house, but it's around here. Yes.
Yeah, that's cool. Nice place to live in Los Angeles.
It's nice, yeah. Except when you have a snake in the kitchen, which we did the other day.
Just haphazardly.
There it was. So we don't know where it is now. So we're kind of wearing shoes everywhere and keeping our fingers crossed.
That's kind of even worse if you don't know where it is.
No, I know.
Oh, well. So you just scream and run and then you come back and it's not there. Is that kind of how it works?
It's only been seen twice in the kitchen. I'm hoping it just snuck back out the way it came, but I don't know. It's our first snake, so.
Oh, how funny. Yeah. Well, there's so much to talk about. I mean, harp is how common is jazz harp now?
Well, I think it's become more common now. I think there are many more people who would like to learn how to play jazz harp, and there are jazz harp programs. A good friend of mine, Felice Pomeranz, started a jazz harp program at Berkeley. So, and she gets some great people to work with the harpists, some other instrumentalists. I think when I was starting out, it was much less common.
Yeah. Yeah. So you started with the idea of playing the harp, but probably playing classically. Is that correct?
Right. I mean, I always played the piano and I played by ear. I always loved jazz. I had an older sister who had fabulous taste, and she brought home all the great Blue Note records, and that lit me up. So I was playing classical piano lessons, always playing by ear. And then I started to figure out how to do the Bill Evans chords I loved so much on the piano. But I also saw a harp and fell in love with the harp. So originally I was playing exclusively classical on the harp, which is probably good because for technique, it's fabulous. It's the best way to learn technique. But then eventually I put my toe in the water on the harp, and it's much harder to do jazz on the harp, much harder than the piano. But I gradually figured out a way to do it.
Why? What makes it hard?
Well, because, with the piano, the whole orchestra is right at your fingertips. And the harp has 7 pedals. I don't know if you know much about the harp.
I actually don't. I don't know a lot about the harp.
Well, there are, I'm looking because there's a harp over here. There are pedals for C, D, E, F, G, A, and B. And what they do, it's sort of like fretting a guitar, flat, natural, sharp. So I have C flat, C natural, C sharp. So let's say you're playing in the key of D, you put, the whole harp is a big D scale with like F sharps and C sharps. But let's say I want to play a flat 9 and a plus 11. So I have to quickly put my foot on the E flat pedal and another foot on the G sharp pedal or the A flat pedal, harmonic equivalent. So your feet are constantly in motion, and you have to remember what you've done with your feet. I mean, you can feel where everything is, but geographically, it's like the pedals are spread out. So it's really, all feet and hands going and brain at the same time. You really have to play with a lot of thought. So it's just not as easy as piano. It's not just all laid out for you.
Right. Oh my God. I didn't know that. It's kind of like learning about the trombone. The trombone, I was slide trombone. I'm like, what? You have to what? Oh my God. Yeah. Wow. That's quite a hard instrument. So, and I guess harp, has harp been basically the same instrument since the beginning of time?
No. And I'm bad with dates, but of course the harp, flute, and the drum were the original instruments, but the harp there were no pedals, of course.
Yeah.
And the French invented the pedal harp, but I always forget the date because I'm bad with numbers, but they invented this mechanism where you could, change pedals on the harp, and it made it much more, free to do complex harmonies and, all that good stuff that I love. So, so there are, a lot of people play folk harps. I don't even own one because they don't interest me because they're very limited harmonically, but a lot of people play them. So there's harps, all different sizes, shapes, colors of harps.
Yeah.
But I stick with the concert pedal harp.
I'm sorry. I think I hear someone at my door.
Oh.
Just say, tell a little bit more about the harp while I'm answering.
I think I need a question. I can't let's see who's at her door.
Okay, I'm back.
Who was it?
It's my dear friend who's a sax player and a contractor, and he is actually redoing our kitchen. And so
not a music contractor,
right. Yeah. But he's also
contractor, I thought.
Yeah, but he also is a great, wonderful tenor player, and he has a really yummy sound. And but also he does work. He does contracting work. So this is a good time to do house repair and stuff like that. Yes. So did I miss something?
Are you kidding? Heck no. I was praying that you would come back quickly.
Okay, so yeah, so I I must admit I don't know a lot about the harp. And so
Well, you know, the audience often, unless they're musically educated, they see a harpist on stage. They don't even know that we have 7 pedals. And so much of the work is done with your feet. But how does the audience know? I mean, you're not looking at the feet and they're sort of obscured by the body of the instrument. So people don't know. So don't feel bad. Even a lot of musicians have no idea how it works.
right, yeah. Well, I definitely did not know. Um, I mean, what strikes the observer is, of course, the hands
Yeah.
and how graceful and beautiful the hands are. And speaking of that, is that when you're learning harp, is there a lot of attention with the movement of your arms and hands?
Well, sure. And, you know, the harp is set up so that we don't use our little fingers.
Oh,
So we're limited. We use 8 fingers because of the way it's set up. I mean, the
oh,
little finger is too weak, the way the strings are.
oh,
But, you know, a lot of harpists use all this dramatic stuff. I don't really believe in it. I think it slows you down, frankly. I think it's best to just stay calm and close to the strings so you can move fast, especially when you're improvising, because you don't know quite what you're going to do next. It
yeah,
comes to you in the moment.
yeah.
But yeah, of course, finger technique. That's why I said classical was perfect to start your technique. It's a difficult technique, I think. I mean, a
I
lot of
would
instruments
imagine
are
so.
difficult, but piano seemed easier because it kind of goes with gravity. You're up here.
Yeah.
It's more physical. It's a physical instrument.
Is it, do you think it's
Strength.
comparative to like guitar technique?
Um, I think it's different. I've played
Mhm.
a little bit of guitar. It's different. I
Yeah.
mean, the guitarist doesn't have to think with the feet and all that stuff. It presents other problems. For me, it drove me crazy that you could make the same note in 50 different places on the guitar. That sort of drove me crazy.
I know, me
That would
too,
have,
actually.
yeah, it would have
Yeah.
taken me time to figure that one out.
Right, right. Yeah. And this is a little lesson in harp, and I hope you don't mind talking about it.
Love the harp. I do. I adore it. So I don't mind.
So, what about tuning? Because actually, that's why I gave up guitar, because I couldn't tune the guitar well. It drove me crazy.
Yeah, that's 6 strings and we have 47. So, well,
Do you have,
basically,
is that how many strings there are on a harp?
47. And, you know, tuning is just,
47. I don't even get it. So wait a minute. Can you explain the 47? Like where
well, we need,
they're like this, right? Something like this. They're crossed or
no, they're not. They're just, you
oh,
know,
they all are the same
sequentially, you
way.
know, they go
Okay.
from long to shorter as the notes get higher. We couldn't have as many, we couldn't have, the piano has 88, but
Yeah.
with the harp, without the pedals, you know, your arms wouldn't be long enough. So that's where
Yeah.
the pedals come in. But yeah, we have 47 strings, and tuning is basically annoying and a bore, and it's a constant annoying thing. You have to really love the harp to play it. There's so many things. You have to change your strings, and you change them when they go bad. The strings are super expensive. There's all kinds of stuff. There's maintenance on the instrument. But yeah, tuning is just something we live with, and it's a trade-off because I love the sound of the harp and I'm willing to tune, but it's constant. I mean, I've tuned in the middle of a session, in the middle of a take
Oh,
before,
really?
because I hear something and then I sneak and hope for the best that I'm like tweaking it enough. Yeah, it's a constant problem, and what affects it is, you know, the temperature in the room or even sound in the room. Something falls and it might, because the harp is a very delicate thing, and so yeah, it's just something we live with. But
Oh.
it's better than only tuning six. Only 6 strings sounds like a joy by comparison to the 47 strings.
um, I just got a message in French, so I'm not sure
Yeah.
if it's a real message, but let's
Oh, it could be a
see
fake.
what it says, because you know, who
I
knows.
speak a little French.
Well, let's see. I'm going to go to Google Translate, you know, so I can
Oh yes,
see.
I know. When I write to Italy, I check it. My writing's pretty good in Italian, but I like to check it out before I send it.
Yeah, you never know, you know. Let's see. Okay, what did they say? Oh yeah, no, this is definitely
Fake.
not. We don't want this on here.
Ooh.
Yeah, so how do I delete from Facebook? I'm not sure how I delete actually. Oh, here we go. Remove or delete. Yes, delete this. Okay.
You know, Cathy, I was thinking when you contacted me, I remember the first time I heard about you. This may surprise you,
Oh,
but I was like really close friends with Ted Green. And he used to talk you up. He used to say, oh, and I think he used to accompany you, did he not? Maybe at
yes, I was one of the only singers that he ever played with. There were just a few singers that he played with. Yeah.
the Smokehouse. Did you play there?
Well, no, that was
Sydney
when
Banks.
he that was in the early period, but we didn't play there. He and I played well at the Sound Room, and we played at Papa Shan's, and we played at Rocco's.
Oh, Rocco.
And
Really?
yeah, and I should actually, I'm making a note. I should send you. I made. If you know Ted, you know that he would not have liked that I did this, but I
No.
made a DVD and a CD
You
of us.
did?
Yes, so I'll send you a Ted Green. We'll talk about that.
Yeah.
You know, I kind of remember that. I kind of remember, and so you did you work with him, or you were just friends,
Well,
or?
what happened is I have a friend who's a guitarist up north, and he was studying with Ted, and he said to Ted, "You should check out this harpist. I think you'd like her playing." I was playing in a hotel. So he showed up and he just, to my, great flattery, he just fell in love with my playing. So we started a friendship, and he would write his tiny little notes out and suggest things, and we really became very close friends. And actually, I used to sing. I don't really do it at all
Oh,
anymore, but I used to even sing on gigs. And I wanted to do a gig with Ted with the harp, but he was more interested in accompanying me singing. So he and I did one thing, I think it was at the Smokehouse, where he just wanted me to stand there and sing. I'm much more comfortable with a harp in front of me. If I'm going to sing, I want that harp in front of me. But yeah, we were very, very close friends for a while. And through Ted, I met Philip Degree. Do you know Phil Degree in New
no, I don't think
Orleans?
so.
Oh, you would love him. But he was a friend of Ted's, and Ted sent him when he was in town from New Orleans to see me play. And we became really close
And
friends.
what does Philip do?
He plays guitar in New Orleans,
Hmm.
and he's got this instrument that he invented called the guitar, and it's got extra strings because he loves the harp. And he and I did a gig at the Snug Harbor, and every time I go to New Orleans, I see Phil, and he comes here, and he's great. You should check him out. I'll send you an email to remind you.
Yeah, I would love to hear
You would
that.
love him. Yeah.
Yeah, for those of you listening who don't know who Ted Green was, you can look. There's a website that people have dedicated to him, Ted Green. I think it's tedgreen.com. He
Mhm.
was a genius, one of those genius musicians who played. He thought he couldn't really say black without saying white. He really, and that was how he lived, and that was how he taught and wrote and everything. He really was interested in all the little crevices, and and he played beautifully, and he played in the style that George Van Epps played in, also like bass note, chords, and melody all at the same time. And he had a lot of people who loved him. Personally, he was a really kind and beautiful soul, and that was I think, part of the reason he was so popular too. He used to give lessons for $12,
And
and
he raised it up to 13.
yeah,
Well, he
exactly.
gave all half of his money away. That's how
Yeah,
he lived.
yeah,
He's a beautiful person.
really beautiful guy. Yeah, and his girlfriend, she was fantastic
I
too.
think Barbara, but I didn't know her. That was after
They
we
were two peas in a pod. She was really kind.
mm,
She was actually a great guitar player.
that I didn't know.
Yeah. And after he died, she kept things going for a while, like his sight and stuff. And then she wasn't really super well. She's super healthy, and she had some kind of condition. And about 2 or 3 years after he died, she went too. And I just always felt like she was just like, I really can't live without him, because they were so tight. And yeah, very, very nice people, you know, and very musical, and, you know, heart and souls in the right place, you know?
Yeah.
Yeah. Wow. Well, that's nice to talk about. You know, I always like to find out that kind of stuff. I'm pretty
By
sure.
the way, our gardener is blowing a leaf blower, so you'll probably hear it any second. So I apologize.
No problem.
I
Well,
didn't think about Tuesday when we set this up. So there he is, loud.
I don't even hear him, but you
Oh,
know,
really? Oh, okay.
yeah, but people on this show, people hear Alan and his crew, you know.
Oh,
So we're all used to everything.
that's good.
Yeah. So I
You
did
hear
hear
it.
that. So okay, so let's see. I'm thinking about the harp, thinking about what you said, and it's interesting. So did you play piano first, kind of, or you
Yeah,
played
I
piano for
mean,
a while?
I'm from a musical family. We were born in Chicago. My aunt was a piano teacher, and there was always a piano. My dad was a doctor, but he worked his way through medical school playing clarinet and sax. He could improvise and, you know, also read. And then my mother had a degree from Chicago Musical College, and she was strictly into classical. And I used to just go to the piano. That was always my refuge, was music, always, just from
Yeah.
the beginning. So we had proper piano lessons. And then my dad became an ophthalmologist. He went back to school and became a specialist, got a job in LA. So on a trip to Canada, I saw a lady playing the harp. And that was it. I mean, I begged my parents for an entire year. And I was already playing, you know, the piano a lot. So I started the classical harp. And I was even in a rock group. I used to play rock on the piano and sing. I was in an all-girl band called Renaissance Women. We did tons of gigs because one of the fathers was sort of like a stage father, and he booked us everywhere. So I was playing keyboards and singing backup. And it was just really funny. So I liked rock too, you know, but I loved jazz. That was kind of my main love. So finally stepped over to the harp when I was able to. You know,
Yeah, that's interesting. I forgot.
Have you heard of Dorothy Ashby? Yes, of course. No.
No, actually,
Oh,
the name sounds familiar, but no.
Well, she was, I think, the best jazz harpist who ever breathed.
Oh, okay.
And I heard that she had moved to Los Angeles, and somehow I got a hold of her phone number when I was a teenager, and I called her, and she agreed to teach me. And it was another one like Ted Green. She said, well, I don't know, I'll just have to hear you play first. And I went to her place, and it ended up being like a marathon of like 3 hours, and I played and I sang and she accompanied me, and it was a beautiful fit. And then I said, well, how much do I owe you? And she said $10. And then so I started going to her regularly. I was already playing well. I thought I was up and running. I knew what I was doing, but she really honed my skills. And after like 3 months of weekly sessions, she said, I'm not going to charge you, but I want you to keep coming. So she just mentored me.
Wow.
She was, well, you probably heard, did you hear If It's Magic, the Stevie Wonder?
Yeah.
Well, that's Dorothy playing.
Oh, okay.
Check her out. So actually during this pandemic, with work not being anything, I had the idea of writing an article about her.
Wow.
And this magazine paid me for it. I was so stoked because I've never been paid for writing. But I have a whole article about her and my relationship with her. So I can send you that. But if you're interested in Dorothy, I think you will be if you listen to her music.
Yeah.
You can't help it because she was great. She was just
That's
fabulous.
fabulous. I think what I was thinking was on the East Coast, there's a harpist who does rock and jazz. Do you know her?
Oh, I know it. I know all the harpists. There's a few really good ones now.
She's a really good writer. I do some of her songs.
Really?
Yeah, what is her name? Let's see. And
Is it Deborah Henson Connor?
yes, yes. She's a
Yeah,
really good writer.
she's in Boston.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Hmm.
she's great.
Yeah.
I was in New Orleans with her on some harp convention. We were both teaching and presenting there. I know Deborah. I know Deborah. And there's a really good male harpist, Park Stickney. I mean, he's sort of like frightening because I think men have a physical advantage with the harp. I mean, his feet are so big, he can like move several pedals at once. And he's got these big hands. And he's also just really a clever, interesting harpist. I wouldn't call him strictly jazz harmonically. He's his own thing, and he's great. He's
Yeah.
fabulous. There's a lot of people studying it and doing really well now in jazz.
Well, yeah, I would say over the last 15 years or so that the instruments that were previously thought of as classical are really have been coming into jazz quite a bit. I mean, I think people like Billy Childs, who you play with, has something to do with that, You've been playing with him a very long time, right?
Oh yeah, yeah. In fact, Dorothy recorded with Freddie Hubbard. And
Oh,
when Billy was like 21, he was Freddie Hubbard's pianist. And my husband used to record Freddie Hubbard too, so he knew him well. But
oh,
anyway, Dorothy recorded Portrait of Jenny with Freddie Hubbard as a duo. It's lovely. It's beautiful.
oh my
Actually, it's the
gosh.
best thing on that CD because the CD is not one of Freddie's best. But anyway, Billy was hired to play with him. I think it was at, God, which venue was it? It wasn't the Troubadour. I'm blanking, but one of the Sunset Boulevard venues. And I went to hear him, and there was Dorothy playing. You couldn't hear a note she played because the band was loud and it's a harp. But anyway, he was there and Billy was there. But yeah, Billy and I started jamming in high school. He would come over, and my dad's baby grand was the very first baby grand Billy ever played.
Really?
I feel great about that. I guess he had a small piano at home or whatever, but he used to come over and jam with me, and we'd have other people come in. We used to play Maiden Voyage and all those gorgeous Dolphin Dance and all those cool tunes.
Wow. Now that I didn't,
It was
I
the
knew you
Roxy.
did.
I just remembered.
The what?
It was the Roxy. It wasn't the Troubadour.
Oh, okay, okay. Yeah, I was going to say the Roxy, but it didn't seem right. But
I played at the Roxy with my sister-in-law in her electronic band not that long ago. So
really,
it's fun to do these weird gigs where
I like the Roxy. I think the Roxy is a really cool room.
And we played at the Whiskey. That's the first time I've ever played with tracks and a scratch DJ. But my sister-in-law, that's her world. So she wanted the harp. So it's been kind of fun. We did some touring too. We went to Chicago and New York and San Francisco.
So your sister-in-law is an electronic musician?
Electronica. She writes songs and
What is an electronica?
I don't, I'd have to look it up precisely, but I think it means that they incorporate weird sounds and groovy electronics in their music. And she had, as I said, she had a scratching DJ and tracks and weird sounds.
Oh,
and she had a group called Bittersweet. It actually got a lot of traction, but she had a blowout with her partner. So, but she was just on The View. I think it was last year, actually.
Oh, wow.
And she's good. My husband's sister. She's good.
That's really cool. It just reminds me a little bit of, do you know Brad Dutz, the percussionist?
I do. I've met him. Yeah.
Yeah. His wife is, it's funny. I always thought she was playing piano. Seriously. I don't know where my brain was. Thought she was playing piano until about 2 years ago when I went up and I was looking at what she was doing, and she wasn't playing piano. She was playing all these looping stations. And it's I mean, they have some kind of form, but there's a lot of improvisation. And she's Japanese, so she sings in Japanese improvisation, and she's wonderful. And not to mention, she's a great artist. She's a wonderful artist. I used her art on Dreamsville, which is really beautiful. Yeah, and Brad always uses her art on his recordings. But That's just such an interesting creative area, isn't it? You know, the
I thought
electronic
it was
stuff.
great. I mean, I was shocked that she wanted the harp.
Yeah.
But you know, the people we played for, there were crowds where people like stand right at the stage and they just stand there. And a lot of those young people had never seen a harp before, and it was cool. I mean,
Yeah.
it was good for me musically, and it was just different. We used to do shots before going on stage, and just, of course, there's no music, and you know, I would always want to tune, and her partner said, "What do you want to tune for?" It was just like such a different kind of approach, but it was cool. It was really cool. She's a lovely singer, and her songs were fun and good. And of course, no music. I did whatever the heck I wanted, and she'd give me some solo moments, which were fun. I just did what I wanted to do, and it was fun. It was good.
I can imagine actually how harp would sound with that. I think it's good. I mean, in my imagination, it sounds
Well, I'm
great.
on her CD. She has a CD called The Mating Game. I don't know how many years ago now it is, but it really did very well, and I really like it. I mean, I would listen to it now. It's lovely. She has a beautiful voice, and her songs are really nice. Good.
What is her name?
Shauna Halligan.
Okay. Interesting. So speaking of music, I want to listen again, because we came on, we heard Amelia, which, by the way, I would like to do.
Oh, I'd love that. I would be so flattered if you'd sing it. I'd love that.
You said Mary Stallings.
My name is Scott Harrison.
And
oh yeah, and I love what she did with the song. I mean, she kind of like, she didn't sing one of the melody notes correctly, but she quickly fixed it. I think the pianist like played loud. You know how that is. They can guide you. But despite that, it sounded like what they did is they just did one take, and then, but it has a spontaneity which works, and I love what she did with the tune. I mean, she sang it beautifully. Gloria Rubin had another kind of version, which was a little bit more, you know, planned out. I felt more formal, sort of, but it's just flattering that they liked it enough to sing it. I love that.
It is nice when people.
inspiring.
Yeah, it's nice when people want to play your things. I think it's great.
And I've never put lyrics to anything else, but I would love to do that. I've never tried lyrics myself. I know I love writing prose, you know, writing language stuff, but I think lyrics is a different skill, and I haven't been brave enough to try it myself, but I would like to, you know, collaborate again with someone on lyrics. I think it'd be cool. I have a lot of.
I'll collaborate with you.
Oh, do you do lyrics? So great.
Yeah, I do. I have to say I'm probably a little esoteric in my lyrics. I think. Maybe I'm not, but so it would be nice to collaborate, actually.
Oh, I love that.
Mm-hmm. Carol Robbins, The Chill. I don't think that's you, is it?
It is. I wrote it, but.
Oh, from Taylor Street Harpist Jazz. Is it? But is this you?
Yeah, it's me. It is. I've written a lot of stuff.
Is it a record or is it a video?
Oh my goodness! Somebody put some visual.
That's what I was saying.
I've never seen this.
It says from Taylor Street Harpist Jazz. Take a bike ride video.
Somebody took the time to put this. That is really funny. Maybe they're being sarcastic. That could be. Could be. Oh, it's a Chili's commercial. That's really funny. Cathy, I've never posted anything ever on YouTube. I'm just too self-promotional. I just haven't done it. So this is all new to me. I have no idea.
You know, I have a song like that too. A woman in Italy used one of my songs for her bed and breakfast place.
That's great. Why not?
Yeah.
I wonder who put this in here.
Definitely Southern California, I bet. This is a lot of the same players. Well, not a lot, but Bob Shepard and Larry and Derek.
I think this is Gary Novak. Oh, yeah, it's right here. It's listed.
Oh, Gary Novak, yeah. I wonder if he's going to go
crack
in.
up, Cathy. I've never seen this. Somebody decided to drive their bike to this. Okay.
I wonder if he's going to take you into the store too. Looks like it.
Who the heck did this? I'm gonna figure this out. I think you're right. I think we're going to the store. What is it? Billy's is a fast food place, right?
I think maybe he already went in the store. Now he's going to leave. Well, it's a little distracting from your playing, but
Yeah,
it looks like he's.
We can end this.
Yeah, it looks like he's going home here.
Hilarious. I wouldn't have seen that, Cathy.
But it's kind of nice to know that you're on there. But I actually really should play something nice. I mean, that we can concentrate on. Some of your let's see. So and you're here we are, jazz play again. And oh, this is the title cut.
No, there's no title cut on that. That's just a little. I'm wondering which CD I put my CDs through. I can't remember.
I'm sorry. What did you say?
Yeah, maybe. I said I can't remember which thing is on which CD, but anyway, it doesn't matter.
Well, I can tell you here. See over here, Moraga, Still Light, the Sand Rover, Three Wings.
Still Light has Steve on it. It's kind of nice. I think it's playing flugel. It's pretty.
Whoops. I don't know what they're doing.
That?
Some kind of fun thing.
I guess I'm picking ballads today. I don't know why.
That's okay. Oh, Steve Hofstetter sounds so pretty.
Wonderful. He's
Yeah.
so lyrical.
Oh, what a beautiful record.
Thank you.
Is that another one of your songs?
Yeah.
Beautiful. Your writing is gorgeous.
Oh, thank you.
Yeah, really. Yeah, I'd love to try writing lyrics with you. It would be really great.
I'd love that. I've got so much stuff and I don't know which things would appeal, but I'll just send over some files and stuff.
Yeah,
Great.
absolutely. I was just curious, because of the studio, I think the studio is such an interesting experience, especially when you're a producer and especially when you're producing your own things, like the blend, one thing I find interesting, like let's say you want the vocal at a certain level, at some point it might get a little softer, even just sitting at that level, and then come back in, and thus every other instrument is like that too. Do you prefer certain instruments a little forward, and or like, do you find, for instance, sometimes I find engineers will put the bass a little too far forward, and so I have to ask them to pull it back a little. And of course, this is in the studio. Then when you get it home, it might sound quite different. But do you find that you prefer certain instruments more forward or more in the background?
Well, this is going to sound a little strange, but I sort of stay out of it. I defer to the engineers. I don't feel like my ear, I'm married to a recording engineer and have been for a long time. I've noticed, as good as my ears are for music, his ears are trained. He also has a degree in music, so he knows music, but his ears are trained differently than mine. So he's recorded all my projects and I defer to him. I let him, he hears things, like he'll hear every little noise and the balance and the mixing. I stay out of it. Maybe I shouldn't, but I don't feel like I have that kind of an educated discernment for mixing things. So
Yeah.
I mean, yeah, sometimes I'll feel like something's a little bit louder than it should be. I might, like a mouse, say a tiny thing, but I kind of defer to them because it's an art. To mix something is another style of art, and I'm not a recording mixer, so I defer.
Yeah. Okay. I was just curious. Let's see. And I have I think it's kind of a humorous question from Mark Baldrich. He was wondering if Harpo Marx had an impact on your playing.
No, absolutely not. No, Harpo Marx, it's every harpist's most annoying. Well, there's a couple of things. Everybody comes up to you and they say, "Oh, was Harpo Marx a great player?" No. He was the Marx brothers are talented. They had musical talent. Harpo started playing with his head on the wrong side of the harp because he was self-taught, and then he got a real teacher and put his head on the correct side. But he didn't do. I could sit down and play everything he played by ear. It's nothing, not a big deal.
Yeah.
The other thing that people say, this is not in answer to your question, but I think this is funny. Like, I move my own harp a lot, like many of us do, and I'll be rolling the harp along, probably dressed up for a gig, and people inevitably will say, "Oh, do you play that too?" No, I'm a cartage person. This is how I dress, with heels on. And so anyway, people say all kinds of things, but the Harpo Marx thing comes up a lot.
That's funny. He's probably the most famous harpist.
Yeah, I think so. That's true.
Yeah, people, I mean, especially singers, for some reason, singers get something like that a lot. You're on a gig, you're singing, maybe it's a casual or something. Somebody always comes up and says, "Do you do this professionally?"
Oh, that's such a put down. I know. That's just, oh,
Yes, I actually do. That's why I'm here
oh,
doing
we
this
can
gig.
hear it when you sing. We know you're professional. Yeah, that's funny. I've heard that.
Do you teach as well?
I don't teach that much, but I'm lucky enough that I'm one of the few jazz harpists that are, known in this harp. I mean, there are a lot of us, but now especially, but I do get asked to, I get flown places to teach. So that's
Oh,
fun. Like I did a master class at Berkeley, and Line and Healy, my harp manufacturer, they have hired me several times, like in Chicago and in, where else have we been? Utah, we went to New Orleans. Oh, that was the American Harp Society. So for those occasions, yeah, I'm part of like a master class type thing. But the student thing, I don't teach classical harp. I feel like there are people that do it so much better than and I don't keep up the repertoire. In fact, now when I play classical, I use it for my practice. I start with classical, but it's all in my head. I don't have to look at the music, and I love that. I've memorized like several classical pieces, and I just use them for chops.
hmm
So I don't think I'm the best teacher for that. I have had students coaching, to try to get them to learn how to do jazz.
Yeah,
But it's such an individual. Dorothy helped me, but I think you have to start with a talent for it, the ears for it, the taste for it. And I think that's a hard thing to teach. I
yeah,
think for me, the best kind of student is somebody who's like almost there, and I can give them some, maybe voicing pointers and stuff. But if it's just somebody who says, "Here I am, I play the harp and I want to learn how to play jazz," that's something for Felice over at Berkeley, people who just spend a lot of time with pedagogy and have accumulated assignments and stuff. And I've never pursued teaching to that degree.
yeah. Do you feel that playing is part philosophical, like a point of view, rather than just technical?
A point of view. In what sense? Elaborate.
Well, I'm forever telling my vocal students that singing is half, the basic knowledge about your instrument and music, and then it's your point of view, because if you're not together, especially with singing, because
Mm.
it's, you know, has to do with all this, right?
Oh, yeah.
Communication and how you look and everything. And so I always say that it's half philosophy, because if somebody, well, something I find fascinating, and I have written a book and I'm going to put it out.
Oh, that's great.
Yeah, it's a small book, but about how playing jazz, voice technique, and life actually have lessons that apply to each of those three things. The same thing applies to each of these three things. So when a singer is singing, you can really, especially as a teacher or as a seasoned professional and looking to be in a critique situation, you can see when someone's not um, well, okay, here's an example. I just actually gave us a lesson this morning. So my student, um, he's actually musical. And the reason I say actually, because he goes through problems because he's trying too hard. He's worried about not coming out with the right notes, or, how it's going to sound. So when he gets worried, he does all the things that he's worried about, you know.
Self-fulfilling prophecy.
Yeah, exactly. So I always stop and I say to him, stop. You are musical. You have to have faith in yourself and just enjoy it. And when he does that, he sounds great. So that's what I mean. More like, is there in your in your estimation, and you're playing, especially with harp, because it is such a challenging instrument to play. You've already mastered the technique, or I know you practice, but still you've mastered the technique, and there must be something else that drives you. So do you ever talk about that or think about that?
I don't know that I think of it in those terms, but I think that um, there's a honesty and integrity about what you choose to play. Like I would never like do some tricky, BS kind of, cheap crowd grabber
Crowd
type
pleaser.
thing. Yeah,
Yeah.
just I try to stick to how I feel um, is the most musical expression of what I'm doing. Like I'm not going to play a bunch of glisses that the crowd likes,
Yeah.
or some bending note stupid thing that sounds corny or something. I think I try to stay true to my heart, my musical heart. And I also think attitude is important, confidence. When you're playing something that calls for, I don't know, a lot of vibe and, I don't know, confidence, then it's important to stand behind it. And as you say, fears that come in are just always terrible for the result of what you're playing. So I don't really think of it as philosophy, other than that I'm always true to my own taste, my musical taste and my ear. And again, I wouldn't play something that is not me and doesn't fit with my personality just to get a cheap, applause from the
Yeah.
audience. Something like
Did
that.
was there do you recall, was there a time in your life and growing up that you actually had that realization? I'm sure it actually came again and again and again, but was there a significant time that you went, "Oh, I need to just stay true to my musical taste"?
No, for me, this has been so natural, and I feel very grateful about it. There's nothing unnatural about my musicianship. It's always just come very naturally and easily to me. And it's almost like my ear tells me what I need to play and when I need to play it. Yeah, I had to learn how to execute it. But what comes from my ears and from my heart and from my musicianship has just always been a very easy road. I never had to overthink, what I was doing. I just
Yeah.
had to learn how to put into practice what I was hearing and feeling, kind of thing.
Yeah. Well, I think that's actually amazing, and I don't think that's it's not that it's that other people don't do it, but I don't think if you took the larger group of people and you asked everybody, it would be a smaller portion of people you know, who actually grew up doing that. I actually asked Diane Shore something like that too, and she was like, "Nope, no problem." I was like, "Wow, cool," It's
I believe that.
yeah. Let's see. I'm looking at Gary Meek is here and he says hello.
Oh, give him my love. I love Gary. Gary's great.
And a great jazz fan up in Seattle, Joyce Glasgow. She says, "Have you heard the young jazz harpist Brandy Younger?"
Yeah, I know Brandy. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, Brandy was at NYU, and I was
Hmm.
in New York with Billy Childs playing, and she asked me to come over and take a lesson. It was kind of fun because she rolled her harp, in New York City down the street. It was great. Yeah, Brandy is a very big fan of Dorothy Ashby, and she actually has pursued Dorothy so much that she was able to let me know what happened to Dorothy's widower, because after Dorothy died, I stayed in touch with her husband John, and then I lost track of him, and Brandy tracked it down for me. So that was
Oh,
a really good connection. Yeah, I'm in touch with Brandy here and there
yeah.
now. She's in New
Yeah.
York.
Yeah, that's cool. Um, Anthony Cucina would like to know what jazz musicians have inspired you the most.
Bill Evans. That's not hard. Bill Evans and Jim Hall and Miles Davis and Freddie Hubbard and all that great Blue Note stuff. Herbie Hancock, of course.
Yeah.
Um, I know I'm going back a long time, but actually, I don't hesitate about Bill Evans, because to me he's just a soulmate. I mean, I wish I could be anywhere near him, but I mean, his chords are just, he never plays a chord that you're second guessing. I mean, when you play a chordal instrument and you're listening to somebody, sometimes you go, I wouldn't have, done that. But Bill Evans, are you kidding? I mean, everything he does is just gold. So and Ravel, if we're going to go into the classical
Ravel.
realm,
Yeah,
Ravel has great chords too. But yeah, I don't hesitate to say Bill Evans is my biggest, hugest influence. And then in harp, of course, there's only Dorothy Ashby. There's only one. She's so great. Beautiful player.
Yeah.
You're
One
gonna
time
listen I hope.
I will. One time I did a takedown of the Bill Evans and Jim Hall record
Oh, I
of
love
one of the songs.
Skating
And
in Central Park. I recorded that with Larry Jones. I
oh,
love it. It's just such a beauty. I think Jim Hall wrote it. So I think it could be wrong. But
the
anyway,
two of them, so beautiful.
No.
And it's quite a different experience when you do a takedown rather than just listen. You can listen and be transported, but when you do a takedown, like you said, you see how they were thinking. And I was, not that I, put myself on their level at all, but I was shocked that I would have never thought of what they had come up with. As I was writing it down, I just blew my mind. And that's why takedowns are so good, because you get to see something really different than what you would ordinarily, think.
I've never done them. I mean, I've figured out what people have done and played it, but I've never written it down.
Yeah, it's nice. And let's see. I was thinking of something. You were mentioning all these different, favorite players, and one thing I just wanted to mention was that during this period of time when we're all stuck in the house, and there's a lot more of listening on YouTube and all these different platforms, I've discovered some beautiful players that I just don't know if I would have found out, like recently, and I've invited him to be on the show. Frank Amalan. Let's see. His last name, I don't have it under my tongue yet. It's Salam. Frank Salam. He's French. He lives in Paris. And he is a gorgeous piano player. He's about 56 years old. And really gorgeous. And how we got in touch was I just put, like an RIP about Gary Peacock, and he recorded with Gary and played with him. And then I went to hear him and I was like, oh my God, this is
really
gorgeous.
I'll check him out.
Yeah. Frank, Franck, Frank. And also I heard another incredible guy, Felipe Cote, and he's in Brazil, and he's also a pianist, and he's another beautiful, gorgeous musician.
Pianist?
Yes, pianist. And these are just a few of the people I've heard recently. I mean, like I was telling you yesterday, I spoke with with my brain, Scott Robinson, who was another like Ted Green guy, just multi-instrumentalist, plays hundreds of instruments, and he's incredibly talented and kind and all that stuff.
Will you send me a little tiny list if you have time? You're very busy.
I will.
No, I got to go to Brazil. Have you been to Brazil?
Not really. I stopped in, but nothing substantial.
Well, we did this jazz harp camp
in Brazil.
I'm kind of affiliated with this jazzharp.org organization. They're wonderful. 2 women from Holland, from the Netherlands, one of whom moved to London, but they're great people, and they have hired me a few times, one of which was also in Louisiana, wasn't in New Orleans, Baton Rouge. But anyway, they flew me down to Brazil, and it was just, I've never felt the pulse of music in any other country like I did there. I mean, it's like people who aren't musicians are just rocking and rolling. It's just, it's the best music ever, isn't it? It's just so
It's amazing.
romantic. It's incredible. And it's so beautiful. I mean, I just saw, you know, Rio, but Rio is just absolutely stunningly beautiful.
Yeah.
Although it didn't feel totally safe. And I guess now, of course, when are we going to travel again? I feel bad. I miss it greatly, you know, the traveling. I love traveling, but
Me too, of
I don't feel
course.
like it's safe, of course, now. So,
Yeah.
ooh, sad about it.
There's a singer who does live productions. I think she might do them daily, Paula Santoro, and she's a
Oh, I know
wonderful
how I
singer.
met her. I met
Oh,
her in Brazil.
well, she's,
And she
yeah,
wanted to play here
yeah, the Blue Whale.
at the Blue Whale. And
Mhm.
I gave her June's email address,
Yeah,
but it just somehow it didn't happen. But I did meet her there, and she's great. She's a
yeah.
great singer. Are you
But
guys friends?
we're just acquaintances, but check out her site because every day she's
Well, I have
with
her email
some
address.
great Brazilian musician, you
Yeah,
know.
I'm going to email her now that we've talked. It's
Oh,
been a
cool.
while, but yeah, I will. I'll touch base with her. That's great.
She's really wonderful. Yeah, that's that quality of what I was talking about, the philosophy, of the point of view of the artist. I think Brazilians have that a lot easier,
Yeah.
and it's just a great thing.
And I left out Antonio Carlos Jobim, of course. I mean, who could not be influenced by him? I mean, how many gorgeous songs did this man write? It's unbelievable what he did.
Yeah,
Yeah, he's definitely up there with influence, that's for sure.
gorgeous songs. Um, yeah, Anthony Cucina said Florianopolis, Brazil is beautiful. Florianopolis.
What is that? Is that a city in Brazil? I don't
It's
recognize.
probably a city, correct, Anthony? I don't know. Yeah, so what
We
else?
were in Vasouras, and my husband and I met a Brazilian woman in Hawaii about a year ago. And I was convinced she wouldn't have heard of it because it was like the tiniest little village ever outside of Rio. Oh yeah, Vasouras, she knew it. So that's all I got to see was Rio and this little tiny village, Vasouras. So next time I go, I'll check out this other one. Florianus, is that what he said? Florianus?
Florianopolis.
Florianopolis. Okay.
Yeah. So do you also accompany your husband on jobs out of town generally, or does that
Well,
happen?
it's more that he's gone out of town, but it's more that he comes with me. When Line and Healy, the harp manufacturer, they would give these, they would call them, I guess, harp weeks or something, and I think they call them jazz pop or some pop jazz, I don't know. But Buddy is so good with sound that they would hire both of us. So that's happened a few times. We went to Salt Lake City. That's a weird place. It's pretty, but it's got a weird strangeness.
Yeah, I think
Went
so too.
there, and Buddy went up to San Francisco with me. That was through the American Harp Society. And then I'm trying to think. There have been a few things, and then of course we just travel for fun. We've done
Yeah.
a ton of traveling. I love traveling. So is that coming back, Cathy? Please. What do you think?
I want to say yes. I want to say yes. I mean, I'm sure it is. My husband would have been in England right now if our kitchen hadn't been getting worked on, because he metal detects, and he goes with a forum of people over to Western England, where Rome had its workings. And so they find ancient stuff. It's pretty incredible. But so we were trying to decide if it was safe for him to go. But then, as it turned out, the house demanded enough attention that we were concerned that I would be the only one here making decisions, and not able to go, hey, honey, do you?
I couldn't do it without a partner.
Yeah.
You're doing a major construction. You don't want to do that by yourself.
It's a little unnerving. But yeah, so travel, I really hope so. I was supposed to go to Japan in March for 3
Mhm.
weeks, and I didn't cancel it until kind of the last minute because at the time everything hadn't, really escalated, and then it started getting a little weird, and I thought, yeah, things there's too many variables going on, and that's why I stopped, I canceled. But Japan is my main go-to. I go there every year, and
I love Japan.
yeah, so I mean, I don't know. Who knows? Who knows how long it's going to take? I think we're going to slowly go into traveling and doing things, how we used to do them. But
Mm.
I think it's going to be very slow. That's what I think. And will it ever kind of drop off? Will this the COVID or related things, will they ever just kind of drop off and so that we can act normally again? I don't know. It's really hard to say, isn't it?
Yes.
Hard to guess. And I think that's what gets to people. It's more than anything, it's the mystery of the future,
Right.
you know. Um
I feel bad for, I have a little 5-year-old nephew, and I just feel
oh,
so bad for the children that are not getting their schooling and their socialization. It's
me
so
too.
sad. They can't get hugs from people. It's
Yeah.
just sad.
Yeah, I feel bad about that too. I have 4 grandchildren who are young.
Mm.
And yeah, I do feel bad about that as well. They are driving their mother crazy. And oh, speaking of England, wow, it's too bad my husband isn't here. His friend who went to England is calling.
Oh, well, that's nice.
Oh, yeah, he's calling to report what he's finding.
From the metal detector.
Yeah, oh, they're really into it, man. They are really into it. It's
Well,
it's some
the book I'm
serious
reading
shit.
has, people finding ancient things. So in England, so it's kind of
Oh yeah. And
exciting.
I'm the proud owner of
Recipient.
several, beach finds and stuff,
That's
because he's been doing it
fabulous.
a long time.
Good.
So, who were let's see. How about sharing with us uh a few or one great musical story, like an experience that you were pretty blown away by? I'm sure you've had more than one, but
I had a lot of them. Yeah.
yeah,
Well, one that comes immediately to mind is Dorothy Ashby, my teacher,
yeah.
created that accompaniment for If It's Magic, the Stevie Wonder tune. So I was called to play at the Hollywood Bowl, um, in the orchestra. So, you're up way up on risers, and I did it, and it was mostly harp and voice. Somebody wrote the whole thing out, but
For that song?
yeah, but
Okay.
I have one. There was also string parts, but I happen to know the contractor, and he said you can change whatever you want, which I prefer to do my own thing.
Yeah.
So we did it, and then a couple of months later, I was asked to play a casual at a Jewish temple. It was a fundraiser or something, a banquet. There were probably around 200 guests, and it was violin, harp, and piano. And the pianist hired me. So he said to me, Stevie Wonder is going to be in the audience.
Oh,
And it was surprising. It seemed like an oddball place for Stevie Wonder to be, but
yeah.
he I guess he was there. I didn't notice we were playing. And then the pianist ran up to me and whispered, he said, do you know anything by Stevie Wonder? Because he's going to walk up stage and talk to the audience right now. I guess asking for whatever the donation. I don't even know what the fundraiser was for. So I remember the key that he sang If It's Magic in. And I know the song very well because I used to accompany a jazz singer and she liked that song. So I know the song very well. So I started noodling it quietly, discreetly as he's walking up on stage. And I was thinking to myself, wouldn't it be great if we performed it, just he and I, in front of this group of, 200 people or whatever? So he gets up to the stage and he says, oh, obviously the harpist knows If It's Magic. And he said, well, we've never done it together. And I piped up, like a frog comes out. I said, oh, yes, we did at the Hollywood Bowl. Because, he doesn't know me. I mean,
Yeah.
he's unsighted, so he wouldn't know me. So we performed it just as a duo.
Oh
And I
my
was
God.
it was like more fun than doing it at the Hollywood Bowl because it was just this spontaneous
Wow.
one-on-one,
Yeah.
no music, and I got to do my own little thing with it. So that was really fun.
Oh God, that sounds gorgeous.
And another one was also at the Hollywood Bowl. This was an interesting gig. I have a lovely friend who's a wonderful harpist, Corky Hale. She's great. She's
Yeah,
a great
Corky
harpist.
Hale.
And she turned down this job and recommended me. Do you remember B. Arthur, the television actress?
Absolutely, yes.
So the Hollywood Bowl was doing a tribute to Peggy Lee, and they wanted harp to accompany B. Arthur just on one song. Well, it's a beautiful song. You probably know it, The Shining Sea by Johnny Mandel. It's
Yes.
well, Johnny Mandel's another huge, I just love Johnny Mandel's writing. It's
Yes,
beautiful.
definitely.
I got to work with him once on a Manhattan Transfer. So I was thrilled. But anyway, so B. Arthur would come to the house and rehearse with me. She was very austere and kind of scary, but we did it as a duo at the Hollywood Bowl.
Oh,
It just came out beautifully. And I skittered away from the harp because she was going to follow it by a song with the band, and I wasn't on that. So I, quickly went away, and she said, where's the harpist? Bring her back up. So it was actually, I got a curtain call. But it was fun because it was just she and I. It was my own arrangement. No meddling this time. It was just it was nice. It was a nice moment. And then another one I remember, I used to do a lot of these hotel gigs. All the harpists did, play background music.
Yeah.
I liked it because I just played whatever the heck I wanted. I like those kinds of jobs. They're just so easy.
Yeah.
So someone comes over to me with a card, and it was his card, and he said, I'm Jose Feliciano's manager, and he's sitting right over there, and he loves your playing. Would you be available to do a session? So I remember the whole thing. I did the session, and the song was called I'm Coming Home Again. I don't know if it was ever released, but it was a beautiful song. And again, I got to do my own part. So it was just another one. There have been a lot. I've been very lucky. Living in LA, we get to visit. And I played with Michael Jackson, Michael Jackson, with 5 people in the entire house, and he's like right there. And I played Billie Jean for him. That was kind of fun too.
Wow. That must have been interesting.
It was super nice. I mean, he had a beautiful vibe, and his kids were there. It was just like 5 people there. But
wow. Interesting. What kind of a situation was that? Was that a special party or something?
It was a birthday party for, I think, his son. And he was renting one of those huge mansions on Mapleton. Mapleton Street has those enormous houses. He was renting it. And his little girl, his son, a son's friend, and the son's father's father was there. That was it. It was just 5 people. They wanted a harp for like, I don't know, an hour or something. But when he glided down the stairs, he was so graceful. You see these people, how graceful he was. And I started playing Billie Jean because I had a heads up it was Michael Jackson. I figured it out. And and my other one, my best one, was Cheers. I got to play on Cheers. Remember that show?
Yeah, I loved that show.
And I was told in advance that they wanted You've Lost That Loving Feeling. You know that tune?
Sure. Yeah.
So I figured out an arrangement of it in advance the night before, and I came in and auditioned for it. And one of the meddlers, I know they're great, but people always want to meddle a little bit in the music. I like to do my own thing. So she said, shouldn't you play that in a more classical way? That would be funnier. And then that got nixed, thank God. So I ended up, I had 2 lines. It's the only time I've ever had lines on TV. I've done a lot of TV, but it's always, in the background. But I had 2 lines, and I got to wear my own clothes, which is great because they always put you in some god awful thing that you don't want to be seen in. So that was cool. And you can still see it. Kirstie Alley is standing right there, and I played this, and I sang a little bit at the end, whoa, whoa, that part. So that was a really fun gig because I got screen credit. I got 2 fan letters or 3 fan letters, my own dressing room. So a taste of what it would like to be an actress. I mean, they get treated really well, better than the musicians, I think.
That's great. That's a lot of fun. What about one of those gigs um, that you would love, that you would not love to forget, but that you would you would go, oh my God, I remember that gig.
Well, most gigs like that involve logistics, like having your harp practically fall, or some horrible thing, or playing in direct sunlight, or I don't know if I can. I'd have to think about it if there was
Yeah.
a musically horrible gig.
I
Oh,
have
well,
one gig.
actually, yes. Okay, I want to
Oh,
hear
you
yours.
do?
Yeah, I'd like to
Okay,
hear
well,
yours then.
so when I was younger here, I was the token American singer in a Russian band.
Really? That's
Yeah.
cool.
Yeah, it was fun. I enjoyed it, and the musicians were fun, and somehow
Yeah, I heard it.
somehow they got a gig, a New Year's Eve gig for 500 Jewish Latinos. And the band was a Russian band, and the only thing that they really had in common was the Jewish music. And this was New Year's Eve, 500 Latinos. And when we would play something that we considered Latin, people would come up and say, "Can we hear some Latin?"
Do you hate that? Oh,
And that was the only time I wanted to be home in bed under the covers. I was so miserable on that gig.
that sounds awful. Well, I have one, and then I probably we're done. I'm sure this is going long, but
No,
this
no, we have like
this
2
was
hours.
kind of funny.
Yeah.
I got called to play in a movie. It was a Coppola, Francis Ford Coppola movie called No, it was called Dracula or something. Bram Stoker's
Oh,
Bram Stoker's
yeah.
Dracula. That was
That's
the
like one of
name.
my favorite movies.
Really?
Yeah.
Well, that was a nightmare for me
Oh.
because the set had to be so frigidly freezing cold.
Oh.
And they put me, I talk about the costume stuff. They put me in this gown with literally a corset. I mean, I was like, I couldn't breathe, I couldn't eat, I could barely move. And Coppola himself kept wanting me to play over and over again when we weren't even filming. He just was like, play. He was like this frightening taskmaster. And I think his
Weird.
daughter was taking harp lessons with one of the classical harpists in town. And it was Poor Wandering One. I remember it, which is, on solo harp, it's fast, da, 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 like almost in one. And he just kept making me play it over and
Oh
over.
my God.
And I had been recently married. They teased my hair to like 4 feet above my head. And so I got home late. It was a long, terrifying, miserable, freezing day. So I finally got home. My husband was sound asleep. So I touched his arm, and he looked up and he said, "Who the fuck are you?" This fright wig. So that was a gig that was not
That's
great.
so weird. I hope you got paid well.
I'm still getting residuals, but it took me several days to get all the pins and the junk out of my hair. And then we played.
I don't remember seeing a harpist in the movie.
You don't even see. You end up not even seeing the harp.
Yeah.
On that.
Wow.
After all that.
I'm trying to imagine where that was.
With several other harpists, we played at. Remember Mark Hughes, and he died, but he actually lives right near here. Lived.
I don't know. Who was Mark Hughes?
He was a very wealthy guy. What was that? Herbalife or something?
Oh yeah. Okay. Herbalife. Yeah.
Things. He made a lot of money. So I say we because there were several other harpists. I think there were like 3 or 4 of us. They put us on ice sculptures, another freezing, awful gig. So that sticks out. Hey. Enough bad gigs. The good ones stand out.
Sorry, but that reminds me of a terrible casual I was on. Who's that like incredible house designer who he has a home that he designed up in the park of above the Greek theater. I forget his name. He's a very famous architect. Anyway, we were
Lloyd Wright. I don't
yeah,
know.
yes.
Okay.
So we were in one of his houses, and the party, manager or whatever he was, he thought it was cool to have a dead squirrel in the middle of the table, the food table, like in this kind of sculpture and ice, and it was
That's the weirdest thing I've ever seen.
Yeah,
heard. I didn't see it. I am seeing it. That's so
very
weird.
odd. It was like, obviously it didn't inspire, hunger. It was too weird, man. People have some strange ideas.
You mean just like by itself on the table or in something, or what?
Yeah, it was like lying on ice or something, and there was like little
awful.
trees and stuff around it, It was very weird. I don't know, something, it's probably mostly in Hollywood that you get things like that, I hope you don't mind, but we do generally go 2 hours. Is that okay with you?
2 hours? Oh, I thought it was 1 hour.
Well, actually, it's an hour and a half now.
Oh.
See, the time kind of goes by, doesn't it?
It's fun to talk to you.
It's fun to talk to you too. But we can take like a music moment here. And or I'd like to show people your site. You have a very nice website.
I know nothing about the website really, and I just don't do enough with anything, but I've got a great guy, but I haven't talked to him lately. But yes, there's the website.
Yeah, it has a lot of really pertinent information, and it's laid out really beautifully. And
thanks.
Yeah, and
I
here's
have nothing to do with that.
well, sometimes we don't, Here's your and I wonder if I played some of Billy's stuff, if they would take me off the air. I don't know.
Well, Billy wouldn't, would he?
Well, he probably wouldn't, but I don't know what's going on with all these situations.
His stuff is so hard to play. He knows it.
Gorgeous. Let's hear that for a minute. Really beautiful. It's a little long, so I'm going to stop. But yeah, it's stunning music. I mean, if any of you have the opportunity to see this live, you should definitely take it, because it really is, it's a beautiful experience. And yeah, and you stand out quite a bit in the group, I think.
Well, you've been really great. I've seen you at the Blue Whale several times. You've been wonderful to come and listen. That's great.
Yeah, well, it's so wonderful. Sorry, I'm going to try and adjust my shades. It's been really wonderful. For those of you not living in Los Angeles, listening, the Blue Whale is a really amazing venue. And actually, June, the owner, was my student. And
really?
yeah,
That's so interesting. Does he sing?
Yeah, he's a
I
great.
had no idea. Oh,
He's a
that's
great
terrible.
jazz
I wish
singer.
I'd known that. That's great.
Yeah. Yeah, and he started this venue about 11 or 12 years ago, and it's world known, renowned now. And mostly it's more modern jazz geared, and especially for experimental things and just wonderful things. And it's not a huge room, but it actually has housed small chamber orchestras and big bands, and it's a little tight, but it's really a nice room, beautiful room, and the feeling in there is so good. You really feel free to be expressive, and the sound is good.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah. So let's see, we have a question. Well, Anthony, you'll have to go back and listen to the beginning. He's asking how you chose to play the harp. But we already actually talked about that in the beginning. So luckily you can go back and listen to this. But she always loved the harp. I can tell you that. She always loved the harp, and she did play piano. But she was drawn to the harp.
I'll say, just to add to what I said before, is I think it's the sound of the instrument. I mean, there may be an allure to the way it looks. It looks beautiful, but I think it's the sound, and also the intimacy of touching the strings as opposed to playing the piano. Because, with the piano, the hammer hits the string. The harp, it's like you're embracing it. There's an intimacy and an immediacy about playing an instrument like the harp, and I do love the sound of it. I think the same chord I'd play on piano and play the same voicing on harp has a totally different, sound to it because of the overtones of the harp and the sound of the harp.
Yeah. I'm just curious. I think you mentioned this. You asked if we wanted you to play at all. Do you have a setup where you can turn the computer and just play a little? You don't have to. I'm just asking.
I don't know. I did. I was going to, but then you played some things, so I don't know.
It would be nice to hear you and watch you.
Well, let's see.
I don't want to force you at all.
Well, what should I play?
I'm not just like a musician. What should I play? That's like when a singer goes and goes to
this?
Yeah.
Oh. I'll play something really short that I wrote.
Okay.
And then I have it recorded with Larry, but it's just called Three Rings.
beautiful.
That could have been better. There's a buzz in this room.
There is.
Sometimes the vibrations of the string pick up. I don't know what it is. It could be anything, but
Oh, interesting. That was gorgeous. God,
well, you know, I
you're
think
such a good writer.
Gary Meek played on that. I think it's
Yeah, he said
I
he
wanted
mentioned something.
yeah, you should play that the way it really should sound. Gary played it on clarinet. He did a
Oh,
beautiful job, and he told us he doesn't really play much clarinet, but my husband said, "Well, bring it anyway," because I was hearing clarinet, and he
yeah.
just killed it. It was beautiful what he did with it. So
Oh man. Yeah, well, let's hear it. But that is a real that's gorgeous. Carol, you're such a
thank
good
you. Oh, I'm
writer.
glad you like it.
It's beautiful. Absolutely. I mean, I was a fan of your playing already, but now I'm a fan of your writing as well.
Oh, thanks.
Beautiful. And the name of that is,
It's called Three Rings. Actually, Billy named it. I originally wrote it
oh,
in honor kind of Nino Rota, who's another big influence for me.
yeah.
But Billy said, "Oh, I think you should change the name." So I did. So Buddy came up with Three Rings, but I originally had it as Nino's Waltz, and it's a published harp solo for the harpists.
Uh-huh.
But when we recorded it as Three Rings. So I think it should be on YouTube. If
It
somebody,
is.
oh, it
It
is good.
is. Here we
Okay.
go. What a pretty song.
Thank you.
Hmm. Wow, beautiful. And you had mentioned that we were picking slow songs.
Yeah, that's true.
Is there something that you want to play that is maybe not slow?
Well, maybe Moraga. I like that one. Billy's on that. Of course, anything
Okay.
Billy's on shines. I think that's on the same CD. Yeah, the first one, Moraga, it's called.
All right.
Do you find naming things difficult? I do.
Um,
It's like a street near where we live. So I just slapped it on. I'm not good with naming things, but anyway, that's what it is.
I'm not that bad about naming things for some
Well, you're a
reason.
lyricist. Maybe it's because it ties in.
Hard to believe that Mint Mobile.
Um, I don't know. Maybe it's just how I write, but I do feel like sometimes when I'm writing for other people, that the names do lead me.
Oh,
So, but I've been writing a song for Mauro Ruiz. He has a song that I've always loved called "And Then She Smiles," which is
oh,
about his daughter when she was a young child, and it's so beautiful. And so that definitely, has led me. I'm either finished or I have a little more to go. But it's sometimes with a song written by an instrumentalist, sometimes these songs are a little challenging to sing. I would probably
yeah.
put my own phrasing in a little differently, to the song if I was just singing it myself. So, but yeah, it's fun to try. So here's Moraga, I believe. Let's just make sure that's the song. Is this
That's
it?
it. Yep.
Another great song by Carol Robbins. Well, I just want to say it's been a super pleasure hanging out with you, finding out about you and the harp, and tapping into a few of your great experiences and perspectives. And yeah, it's been really fun. Great to find out more.
Well, for me too. It's like an oasis in the middle of this strange new reality we're all living through together. But no, it's been great to connect with you. We have so much in common, obviously.
Yeah,
We're
yeah.
doing the same thing, and it's great to talk it all through together.
Yeah. I'm going to end up singing with you sometime.
Okay, you're on. I
It's
love
just,
it.
yeah, my voice just, when I hear you, my voice just wants to start happening.
Oh, I love that. And you can change the melodies if you ever write something. Obviously, that's what lyricists have to do, to switch stuff around. So
Wow. Did you hear that, ladies and gentlemen? I just got big permission.
well, it has to work with the poetry of the lyrics, obviously.
Let's see. One question was that with the Billy, what we saw with Billy, was that Carlitos del Puerto?
Yes, yes.
Yeah.
It was.
Wonderful. And Anthony, again, if you listen to the earlier part of this interview, you'll see how she talked a lot about tuning her harp, that it's consistent, and yeah, lots of comments that beautiful, beautiful, beautiful. Do you sing? Yes, she sings, and she talked about that too. So, and people are saying thank you for everything, and you can see this yourself on Facebook.
Thank you, Cathy. Great.
Yeah. So thanks again. It was just really fun. Thanks for spending a few hours.
We need to collaborate now on at least something. We'll do something together.
Absolutely.
Maybe just harp and voice or something. I love the duo format. It's lovely. It's just,
me too.
Like the Irene Kroll, Alan Broadbent collaboration, that kind of thing. I love that kind of stuff. So
me too. In fact, the bigger portion of my CDs are duos.
Really?
Yes.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Well, and you'll email me which one to get, because I want to hear those duos. I'd love to.
Okay. And ladies and gentlemen, I just want to say that this is last week was the beginning of my 3-day week instead of 6-day week. So Sunday, I'll see you Sunday with a really talented, speaking of writers, great lyricist and singer, teacher in England, Georgia Mancio. And she's really wonderful. I've met her and hung out with her in England. And then the next day, probably someone Carol Bakirita.
No, I don't.
Oh, really?
No.
Carol is an extremely talented person, great dancer and singer. So when she performs, she uses both, and she's very much into Brazilian music. Ooh. She's in LA. And then Tuesday next week, we have Susie Stern and George Oldsey. And they have moved here from Texas. They were pretty major curators. They had a really incredible house concert series where they would have big name people come. She's a great singer and composer and arranger. And he is an incredible arranger, teacher. So that should be really interesting. I'm going to have some fun with that. Cool. So yeah, everybody, you can go to my website and see who else is lined up. Michael Abene and all kinds of wonderful people, Bob Moses and et cetera.
Well, thanks for providing this forum. I mean, it's fabulous. It's what
you're welcome.
I admire it so much.
Oh, thank you. It's great. I always walk away smarter. So it's great.
I'm smarter from you, so thank you.
Okay, Carol Robbins, we will talk soon.
Yes, thank you, Cathy.
Thank you so much.
Be well.
Bye, everybody. Have a great day.